been wanting to do like a little video, or not a little video, but I've been wanting to do a video for a while. The occasion for today is realizing that I've only been giving myself one day off a week for like, I don't remember when it started, but sometimes I'm really good about giving myself 2 days off, and then I don't know, I get kind of stressed out about money, and then I start like not giving myself, time off, and then things get kind of crazy, and then I find myself on a day like today where like I'm driving and I'm kind of blind because like I used the sunscreen and it got in my eye, and and I put mascara on too because I was just like, I'm trying to be lovely today, and the mascara and the sunscreen's in my eye, and I'm like driving and I'm listening to this music that's making me want to cry, and then I get like the urge to sing this song that I love so much, and that makes me want to cry even more, and then I was just like, you only gave yourself one day off. I think you're allowed to take 2 days off. And I definitely think that you shouldn't be driving and you can't keep your eye open all the way because you're kind of blinded by the sunscreen and the mascara. So I think you should probably go home, right? So this is what I'm thinking. And so on the way home, I'm like, okay, let me get some Visine. And I go to CVS because, like, Visine, CVS, right? And I go into the aisle for eye care. And I see all these lovely brands of things to take care of your eyes, for dry eyes. I don't see any Visine. There's just all these random brands. And I'm like, does nobody make Visine anymore? Is Visine not cool anymore? So I got this stuff from like, I don't know, Europe. Anyway, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to Ralph's because perhaps they have my favorite ice cream that I like, and maybe I'll get my favorite frozen meal that I like. And I get there and I'm like, ooh, let me get that vegetable stock so that I can make my lentil stew again, because that was really good. And then there's this guy who's like sampling wine, and so the last time I had wine was maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago that I had wine. And the time before that I had wine was when my friend Carla came to visit, which was, I think, in September. And aside from that, I haven't had any other kind of alcohol. And it's not because I'm like trying to be sober or anything. It's just, I don't, and it's honestly, it's not even that I don't need to be drinking. I do need to be drinking. That's the problem. So when he was like sampling this wine, I was just like, oh, that's good. And then I like grabbed it, mostly to be nice, because I was just like, oh, he's so nice. Let me buy this wine from him. And then as I'm driving home with the bottle, I'm like, I never drink, but like, I think I deserve to have a fucking drink. It's the holidays. It's a stressful time of year for anybody. And in the past, I have knocked it back. But to be completely honest, I've never really been a big drinker. Every time that I drink, it's always like a particular thing that's going on that like makes me want to drink. Which is kind of why I wanted to even do this video tonight, because the last time I had like a major bender was where I drank a lot. The last time I drank a lot was about this time 3 years ago, and I drank almost an entire bottle of rum, and it was easy. Like it was so easy, and that kind of disturbed me. And so after that, I was just like, yeah, we can't be drinking our feelings. But every other time that I really drank was like when I was around other people. I usually don't drink on my own. I used to smoke weed, and then I stopped smoking weed because my therapist recommended it. Actually, several people recommended that I stop smoking weed, and it took some time to stop smoking weed, because when it comes to a substance and altering substance, I prefer weed to alcohol. However, like that's my preference. However, I feel like weed fucks me up just too much. I don't know, it's not even like I get too stoned, it's just like I don't know, it like fucks with my life. And they say that, okay, so I've heard this for alcohol, like drinking is not a problem as long as it's not affecting your day-to-day life. So it's okay to drink as long as it's not like affecting your day-to-day life. And so I would have to say that probably like smoking weed is the same thing. Like it's okay as long as it's not adversely affecting your day-to-day life. And well, it started to affect my day-to-day life, so I had to get rid of the weed. But I've never had a problem with alcohol before. Even though, like, I guess the worst thing that's ever happened with me and alcohol is that I throw up. That's been the only thing that's happened with alcohol, so I should probably drink. I should probably drink way more than I do. But for some reason, and I guess this is like a really good thing, drinking is never like the thing that occurs to me that I should be doing to like help relax me or, I don't know, alter my state of mind or whatever. And I feel like I probably need something to help me alter my state of mind, because like I go down some rabbit holes in my mind, like just thinking and overthinking and overanalyzing and dissecting and all of these things. And like yesterday I realized that like I need an outlet. And I have been singing, and you know, the song I sang yesterday was really great for me. But I think that, like, I've been turning away from all of my outlets, because also I was dancing, and then I took a break because I was just like, I need a break from just constantly being like, I know that it's good for me to be training and all that stuff, but I feel like I'm constantly, like, being constantly being shoved in this container, in this container, in this container, in this container. And, like, I just kind of needed, personally, I need some time off of being shoved in the container. I might even need another month off of being shoved in the container. I really enjoy... The thing is that I really enjoy the structure. It's so weird. I love structure so much, but if you looked at my house, you would think that I was crazy and that I hated structure, but, like, I love structure so much. And I think that it has to do with, like, because my mom was, like, I grew up just with my mother, and everything was just, like, based on her emotions, and it was so unstructured. And, like, I had to find my own structure, like, within that, to not go crazy all the time. Because if I went crazy every time that she went crazy, I would be psycho. And yeah, I just couldn't do that to myself. So I've always, like, craved structure. And I think that's something that, like, probably comes from not having my dad around. Enjoying structure, because the father element of your life is sort of like the element that provides structure. It's like your dad provides the boundary from beyond which you should not go, because that is as far as he can keep you safe. So yeah, I have, like, been in touch with my dad, and we have, like, a relationship. I have to say, though, that well, I do like the state of it, I guess. It's probably as much as I can take. His way of providing structure, though, is so indirect. It's like, it's so indirect, and I don't even know. He's probably not even doing it on purpose. But it's just like, any form of communication is communication. So even if you're not communicating, you are still communicating something. And so, I respect him. And so, like, what little he has said to me was, like, not wanting to be confined. And that was in relation to, like, continuing on with this particular choreographer that I was working with. So I was just like, well, I guess I won't be working with that choreographer anymore, because I don't think my dad likes it. But my dad would never come out and be like, I don't want you to work with that choreographer anymore. So yeah, I just stopped working with that choreographer because, I don't know, I felt like my dad didn't like it. And the way that my mother communicates is like it's like, so my dad is super indirect and withholding, and my mother is like you don't really know until you feel it. That's how she communicates. So I was working with this other choreographer, and I worked with him for a year, and then we did something. We did something like a stretch that I have done a million times. And like my back rib hurt. Like when I was coming, I was like, it hurt. So that's the boundary. That's my mom's boundary. So now I don't think I can work with that choreographer anymore. I've literally, this is the glass that I've poured for myself. So I think I poured that much. And it's just wine. It's just wine. This is why I don't drink. Because it really doesn't take very much to completely lay me out. So I feel like in this new year, I need to do something different. I don't really know what that thing is. I feel kind of nervous because I have been with the same choreographer. Well, I've been with like these two choreographers for one for 3 years and the other one for a year. And it just feels weird to like not work with them anymore. But I think about like my mentor, for example. And if my mentor told me that it's time to drop this and do something else, I would do it without even questioning. So that my parents have put these limitations on me, I'm just going to listen to them. As indirect as I have been instructed to stop. So I have found, well, I have been wanting to do ballet. I think I could do it. I think I can. Also, I have been doing bar work as a means of like rehabbing my body, and I could always go back and do Pilates, and that could help. I think I want to do ballet. I think that would be really good. And I have discovered some new people online who have like really great like advice on like perfecting your technique and stuff. And I've been collecting so many pieces of advice and so many different workouts. And then with everything that I've learned in this past year with my jazz teacher, and then everything that I learned in the past 3 years with the other choreographer I was working with, I feel like I could do it. I don't know. I mean, these are all things that I have to decide. I mean, technically I don't have to decide anything, but I would like to have it figured out by January 1st, which I'm taking myself on a long ass hike And maybe it'll be that long ass hike that helps me like really solidify what it is that I'm gonna do. Because I have been making plans, you know, like, okay, so this is gonna be like the most boring video. Like, who's even gonna watch this? Okay, so originally I was in acting school, and then I started auditioning and I started working on building my resume and working on short films and stuff like that. And then I started dancing. And the dancing thing kind of like turned me around a bit, and now I'm kind of singing a little bit, and I don't know if I want to take voice lessons. Voice lessons are so expensive. If dance training is expensive, voice lessons are way more expensive than dance training. And acting. Like, little by little, everything just gets more and more expensive. So, acting training is like $250 a month. Dance training is like twice that a month. Because, I mean, you pay per class, but it's like twice that a month. Voice training is half that per session. Although, I feel like compared to the first time that the first 2 times that I've taken voice lessons, I feel like now I'm a lot more connected to the emotions. Yeah. I think the thing that I've realized this past week has been, if anyone has taken voice lessons, they always try to get you to like feel your way through the song, right? Or like make sure that you're singing with feeling. And, you know, I thought that that's what I was doing. You know, you think that's what you're doing, or you're trying to. And then I think it was this past week, or maybe it's like these past 2 weeks, I sang this song At Last for the first time. Honestly, like, At Last is not one of the songs that is in my repertoire, to be completely honest, because like it just seems like such a, like, I'm not gonna do it. It's just not a me song to sing. And then, I don't know, I just kind of like thought, well, why not? Let's just see how it goes. And then it ended up being good. Like, I ended up feeling it. Like, I ended up feeling it, like, in my heart. And I was just like, oh, this is how, I think this is what they're going for. This is what we're going for. So, you know, I've been singing a lot more since then. And then last night I sang, I think it was last night, it might have been the night before, I sang That's Life. And it's because, like, you know, like when you really, 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 really want something, like you want something more than anything, but then the adult in you is just like, you have to deal with the fact that it's probably not gonna happen. Okay, I'm not gonna say it that way, because that's taking away the magic of life. Okay, you have to be real with yourself and be like, okay, it might not happen, right? You might not get what you want. And, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if you don't get what you want? What's gonna happen? So, like, this is what was going through my head. And then I just started singing That's Life. And I was just like, damn. Like, the more I sang it, the more I was just like, I feel like other people could stand to hear this too. You know? And maybe, because the way I was singing it, I was just like, I could feel it in my heart when it was coming out. And to listen to it back, it was just like, it was even soothing me. And I was just like, man, like, you know when your mom sings to you and you're just, and, you know, and sometimes it's the only thing that can make you feel better when you're just like so disappointed and so let down. And I realized that, like, I could sing that for somebody. I could sing it for me. You know, I could definitely sing it for myself. And I did. I sang it for myself. And it made me feel like I could look at the uncertainty of the future and the very real possibility that I will never get anything that I want. It helped me to look at that and be able to accept it. You know, accept it in a way that a less mature version of me could never have accepted it. And so I guess it's probably why voice lessons are so much more expensive, because, you know, when I think about the times that I've trained with someone, you know, training with someone on your voice, it's probably the most, like, intimate relationship, you know? Like, I always feel like singing is the most intimate form of artistic expression, and it's the form that has intimidated me the most and that I've avoided the most and not wanted to participate in the most, even though I love to sing. I love it so much, and it's probably the thing that makes me feel the best. Out of everything, it's the thing that makes me feel the absolute best. But I also avoid it because it is the most intimate thing. And I always admire singers who can do it, you know, and do it like fearlessly and unapologetically. And so I definitely work at that for myself. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's like $100, $125 per one-on-one session. And that's really the only way you can do voice training. It's like one-on-one. Maybe that'll be my thing this year. You know? I think we're there. I don't know what kind of blog this is, but people have always told me that I should have one. And I was always just like, why? Like, I would literally just be talking. I would be so boring to watch, but I literally watch YouTube videos of people just talking just because I enjoy listening to them talk. I don't even know that I pay attention to everything that they're even saying. Like, I'm sure I listen to some of the things. I'm listening, but also it just is kind of nice to hear someone just like chatting in the background. And to be completely honest, the stuff that people are chatting in the background about on YouTube, it's not that I listen to. It's like, I listen to it because it's not the kind of thing that's authentically on my own mind. What's authentically on my own mind is so analytical. It's so analytical. And I don't know, I think it's like pretty boring. Because most of the time I'm just like working something out. I'm just like, especially lately, because, you know, we're getting on to the end of the year. And so I'm thinking, like, what am I going to do? I've given myself some time off of having to fucking participate in anything, really. I've taken a break from all of my friends. I've taken a break from every social activity. And I'm literally just working. I'm participating in life at the barest of minimums right now. And just because it's required, like, if I could have my way right now, I would not be doing anything. I would be doing a year of rest and relaxation. I would, if I could do anything, I would pay somebody to check on me once a week to make sure I wasn't dead. But not even when I was awake. Like, I would be taking all of those Vicodins or whatever it is that girl was taking in that book. I would be completely drugged and sleeping for an entire year. I would wake up once a week, go to the bodega, have a coffee, have some pizzas, and go back to sleep. And then I would hire someone to make sure I was still alive or something like that, or like put an IV fluids in me. Oh. The best thing I ever did for myself was get a cat. Seriously. She keeps herself so entertained. She could care less that I'm here. She would probably prefer that I wasn't here. But I love that she's here, and I love like watching her play. It's like the best thing in the entire world. Anyway, so okay, so what spurred this on? I remembered someone who was incredibly important to me, someone who somebody who I like deliberately chose to forget because it was too hard to miss her. Like, missing her was the hardest thing in the entire world. And so I let myself remember. And when I started to let myself remember, I started to let myself miss. And oh my God, missing her was like the hardest thing in the entire world. I cried so much. I mean, let's be honest, I cried again today. And this has been going on since September, and we are coming upon the end of the year. Like, we're going to be in January in a couple of weeks, and I have been crying over this friend of mine. And that's all that she, like, that is all that she was. She was a friend who was nice to me and was very serious about her singing career, and I believed in her. And she kind of helped me with my creative process, and you know, and then I let myself be obsessed with a singer that like reminds me of her, who has the same name as her, or the one that she was gonna have when she was famous, but she doesn't look like her. But I just let myself I made a decision. I don't know when it was that I made this decision, but I made this decision in like October or November, and I was just like, I am just going to let myself enjoy this, because I have not really allowed myself to even enjoy this particular singer, because she reminds me too much of my friend, and it hurts too much to listen to this person or even pay attention to this person, so I'm not going to pay attention to this person. But when I started to let myself remember my friend and miss my friend and be sad about my friend and grieve my friend and let myself feel all emotional about everything that I lost when we stopped being friends, and I, as a part of that, I was just like, I'm just gonna let myself listen to this person and follow this person and pay attention to this person, because like the only real thing that's like me is, it sounds so sad because this was like 14 years ago, but like the realest part of me was like all tied up with this person. She's probably the person that I was like the most myself with, the most vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, I mean like I shared with her parts of myself that like are so unattractive. Like I think that's the thing that like that I think I really appreciated about that friendship, because like she saw me probably at my most vulnerable, most insecure, most confused, most like she experienced me in my rawest form. Like I was 19 and I was just like, I felt like the world had like slapped me with its dick. And I was just like, what just hit me? And what just happened? And what the fuck? And then she was there, like she was my friend during that time of like, I don't even know how this thing happened. Like, and this was me like talking to her, like, I don't even know how this thing happened. And she was just like, but you seem like a very, strong-minded person and like, yourself. And I was just like, yeah. And you know what? Like, even so, like, she didn't even, like, judge me for it. Like, she didn't judge me for it. She was just, like, my friend through it. And, like, she was there to, like, be, like, do normal things that were okay and healthy. And, it's so funny because, like, I went to, oh, God, during this pandemic, I went to therapy, and my therapist was like, you want to have one of those relationships where, it's like a healthy relationship, and so you have a good example of what a healthy relationship is. And she was that. She was the healthy relationship. She was the relationship that was like, okay, this is what we want out of life. And so these are the things that we're going to do to pursue it. And these are the ways that we're going to have fun together. And they were all fucking healthy things. They were like badass things too. Like when I think about the things that I did with her, I still talk about that shit. Like the what is it called? We curated an art show together, and I got to like be there and help out with like all the ins and outs from like beginning until end. And then I got to see like there was this famous actor that was there that I really liked from a play that I did, and I was just like I still think about shit like that. And then just like the day-to-day shit that you do just to like keep the creative juices going, like going to art shows, or like going to different sorts of cultural places that you probably wouldn't normally go to, just to like experience something different. Like, she was the fucking coolest friend I have ever had. And she was the most, how would I describe it? Like, woke, probably. Also, just like nurturing. Like, I just felt like incredibly supported. And it's just so funny because, like, when I think about myself now and like how ungrounded, even though I've been working on feeling grounded, like that has been my number one work for the past 3 years, is like feel grounded, make yourself feel grounded, like really feel through your body into the floor, like be one with the earth, be rooted. She was the one person where, like, being around her, it was just like I was just naturally in that state. I'm like, yes, you need to like be able to be in that state on your own. But when I think about when I felt the most relaxed and the most like grounded, it was with her, and it was without even trying. And so yeah, I've had a lot to, when that friendship ended, and it, friendships end, they end. And I would have preferred it didn't. But I think, like, for where I was at in my life, it wasn't sustainable for me. Like, I couldn't keep up with her, and then I also didn't want to, like, hold her back from where she was going. So I had to make other arrangements for myself. But also, like, in the exit, it was just like, it was not a good exit. And I think the way that the exit happened, it made me not want to think about her ever again, because, like, she went from being someone who was the most supportive of me and most nurturing and loving and least judgmental, to being just like so hurtful. And I think it was the exit that was like really hard for me to deal with, because I loved her so much. I loved her so much, and I couldn't believe that, like, I mean, I had to do what I had to do for myself, and I'm sure that hurt her. And it probably hurt her that I didn't feel comfortable explaining my situation, like explaining that I didn't feel like I could keep up. But I also didn't want to, like, drag her down either. So, like, it sucks. And that's the way some friendships end. And, the way she handled it was not great. But I understand, And I never held it against her. But I did feel, like, incredibly hurt by it. Which is, like, a big reason why I tried to not think about her for a really long time. Over a decade. But just, not thinking about someone doesn't make them not real. And, when I did think about her, it, like, came hard. Like a fucking typhoon came through my life. I feel like I've been swimming through a typhoon for the past 4 months. But it's okay. It's like a typhoon that, like, I've been really grateful to swim through. And I don't know. I've learned a lot about myself in that time. And I feel like I've learned a lot of like very specific things about myself. And it's given me a lot of guidance that I've really needed. And I guess I feel a lot less lost than I felt going into it. I don't know if other people have friends like this in their lives, or maybe it's just because of the point that I let myself get to, which I'm kind of insane, or I was pretty insane when I was younger, of like not really having boundaries and living so much in my heart space that like I really let other people take advantage of that, and it really kind of messed me up. But like messed me up, not like, I mean, yeah, emotionally, but messed me up, like got me in situations I really did not need to be in. So I feel like the only reason why I would have even met her is because I am so me. But now, it's been 4 months. Well, I guess by the end of sometime in January, it will have been 4 months that I've been chewing on this and sitting with it and swimming through it and snuggling up with it. And at some point, I do need to move on. Not forget her or forget this point in time, but I do need to metaphorically get out of bed with it. So that's kind of what I've been wrestling with. And this is probably as good as any sort of start to any sort of blog, because this is kind of the only thing worth talking about, in my opinion.